Evolution Land or in the Rape Land, wherever you happen to be. I have the pleasure of discussing the new watches for 2020 from RADO with the CEO of the brand, my friend Matthias Breschan. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much, Rabbi. Thank you very much for giving me the occasion to join you here, and I look forward to speaking to you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Can I just ask you, you've got a lovely painting behind you. Is that a screen, like a background, or is that an actual painting?
It's an actual painting, and it was done by an Italian artist during an event we had about 10 years ago in Istanbul.
So Matthias, the first question I want to ask you is about Captain Cook. So you moved to the 42mm Captain Cook, which has become one of my favorite watches also. First, an incredible value proposition, you know. And second of all, when you went to the 42mm, you managed to put a screw-down crown on it and make kind of a lot more robust of a watch as well. And this year, you've got a really cool version of bronze. So tell us a little bit about the Captain Cook bronze automatic, please.
Yes, well, we are actually launching the Captain Cook in 3 steps. Last year, we launched the stainless steel version with the ceramic bezel. In March, we started to launch the bronze version of it because bronze is the oldest mankind alloy. So it was a very nice mix of, I would say, old materials and state-of-the-art contemporary technology. And of course, later this year, you will see a full ceramic version of the Captain Cook.
Fantastic. I think I've had the opportunity to see that watch already, actually, and I have to say it's absolutely amazing. But I love what you're doing with the Captain Cook. The Captain Cook is great also because at that accessible price point, around $2,000 US, you've introduced a watch that I think it's become kind of a contemporary icon. You know, it's like if someone is interested in a sports watch with a great vintage design, which has an amazing heritage. In addition to that, also the Captain Cook is that perfect watch. When you guys were launching the Captain Cook, I know initially you did it in the smaller size, but now in a larger size. Did you have this in mind to bring kind of a cool sports watch icon to the offer from RADO?
Well, actually, the strategy behind this is, you know, that RADO is a very young brand among all the Swiss watch brands. And RADO started to launch its first collection in 1957. It was a very classic collection, and the iconic watch was the Golden Horse. And 5 years later, they launched a more lifestyle family. Of course, the iconic watch by this time was the Diastar 1, the original watch, and also a sport watch. That was the Captain Cook. And RADO then produced of this Captain Cook only 8,000 pieces because it was so complicated to produce it. And we are now able, with the technologies of today, to not only make a replica and that exactly respects the complicated construction of it, because it has this concave bezel, it has the box glass, the curved dial, the curved hands. So it's also now possible to make this watch with new materials like ceramic, which was not possible in the 80s or 90s because by the means that we had by this time, we only were able actually to use a centerpiece of steel, putting the ceramic skin around it, machine it in straight lines, and the watches, the ceramic watches by this time, they were all black, shiny, and square. But now with this new technology of monoblock construction, we really are able to do any geometry. This is why historical pieces like the Captain Cook on the sporty side or the Golden Horse on the more classic side, we're able to bring them back in a very contemporary new material.
You know, I also think about the perspective, from the perspective of someone that is maybe looking to get their first luxury watch, perhaps their first luxury diving watch, in which case they might be interested in Captain Cook, or in their first kind of sports chic watch with that has a dress element to it, in which case they might be attracted to the Golden Horse. What's wonderful is you're able to offer these watches, again, with automatic movements, with amazing bracelets on some of the models, with ceramic for the bezel for the Captain Cook, with a boxed sapphire crystal to replicate the look of an old acrylic, but give all the advantages of the modern material of sapphire. But you're able to do this all at an accessible price point. Like, you know, for me, this is just great. Tell us, you know, what is it about RADO that allows you to do this? Were you always planning to extrapolate these watches over sort of larger volumes and therefore able to reduce the price? Tell me a little bit about this, because there's watches in the same category with the same elements that are 10 times more expensive.
You know, every time we bring somebody to our ceramic manufacturing place, they say, wow, why are you able to sell the watch at this price and you are not actually asking for a price point that is 5 or 10 times bigger with all this state-of-the-art technology that you have inside each RADO watch? I think the first reason why we can do it is because we control the manufacturing totally ourselves. So this is the very big point about the Swatch Group is that we have an extremely strong manufacturing base and basically everything from the ceramic case, ceramic bracelet, the dial, the hands, movements, we do everything ourselves. So of course, this gives you a possibilities and flexibility that is much better than anybody else because it's a super strong industrial base that we have. Secondly, our challenge is definitely not to upscale or move the brand higher in terms of price positioning because we have already a very strong brand in the Swatch Group, which is Omega above RADO. And there's no reason to go lower because we have a strong brand like Tissot. So our objective and mission is definitely to stay in our price segment with this, which is from 1,000 to 4,000 US dollars, but bring best possible state-of-the-art technology into this price segment and make sure that the substance really is an exceptional one according to the price that we're asking for.
That's fantastic. You know, one of the things that I've noticed this year, well, I guess it kind of started last year for me, was that the Swatch Group is really starting to make a statement in terms of the bracelets that it's capable of making as well. You know, so I saw, and this is across all the different brands. In Blancpain, for example, they introduced a really beautiful grains of rice bracelet in their Villeray collection, which was phenomenal. And then Breguet obviously has a new bracelet as well for its marine collection. That's more of a link style bracelet, but it's also an amazing bracelet. Now you've got an awesome bracelet as well for the Captain Cook. And it's what they call a beads of rice or grains of rice bracelet, which was very popular in the 60s in the sports watches. Tell us a little bit about this.
Exactly. But whenever we try to work with vintage watches, we have actually also two steps. We always make a replica of the original one. And I think vintage watches, they are not very hot now because it's a trend. I think vintage watches, they will be important for the Swiss watch industry for many years because they very well reflect all the values the Swiss watch industry is about. We make timeless pieces and the style of this Captain Cook was extremely popular and contemporary in 1962, but it still is today. But of course, we continue to innovate. We continue to find out what are the state-of-the-art technologies that we can introduce in these timepieces. And this is also why we are bringing it out in a full ceramic version. But even making a ceramic bracelet is extremely complex. It's not a surprise that on the market you see very, very few brands that make ceramic bracelets because one of the biggest challenge in ceramic bracelets is that you obtain, for example, from one production load to the other one exactly the same shade of color. And that is extremely complicated. And here we have a big advantage because we have a very long experience in manufacturing ceramic watches. We do it ourselves. So we are also not, I would say, submitted to the constraint of asking somebody to invest in this technology because we believe in it. No, we can take the decision inside the Swatch Group, and that definitely is a big advantage.
That's fantastic. You know, somebody just pull up that picture again because I just want to take a look at that watch, and then it's almost like I want people to guess the price because I think it's such a good value, right? So, okay, let's take a look at this watch, for example. So look at the bracelet, for example. It's a grains of rice bracelet, but it's actually a really cool melange between link and grains of rice. So the center bit is grains of rice, and then you've got kind of a link bracelet in the exterior. It's actually really complex to put together, and it's kind of the reminiscent of the style of bracelets that like Gay Flail used to make back in the 60s. Then on top of that, you get the 42 mm case with the screw-down crown, and then you've got a ceramic insert for the bezel, and then you've got that box sapphire crystal, and then you've got an ETA movement with 80-hour power reserve, automatic movement with date. And then you have all this package, this incredible package of the watch. And I think if we were to ask people to guess what they think the price of this watch would be, they would probably say, okay, you know, $3,000, maybe $4,000, but this is a $2,000 US watch. I mean, that's a pretty amazing value.
That's true, yes. And also when you think about the bronze version of it, the same reaction. When we launched it, oh, this is a watch that will probably retail for 3,500 US dollars, like other competitive products on the market. But we are actually bringing it to the market for 2,600. So again, here, our objective is to bring state-of-the-art technology at a very affordable price level.
Amazing. Okay, let's transition from this to another icon for the brand, and you had mentioned it earlier, of course, it is the Diastar. And this year we've got a Diastar Anniversary Edition, and an automatic watch in hard metal. Tell us a little bit about this, Matthias.
Yeah, actually, we launched, it was part of the second collection in 1962, and it was for the first time that RADO was really exploring with materials. So by this time, it was a very hot lifestyle watch. The bezel was made of hard metal. The first time that the watchmaker was using a scratch-resistant material for the watch, and the watch became immediately extremely popular. First of all, because RADO by this time was already very present in markets like Asia or the Middle East, where most of the other Swiss watch brands were not present by this time because they were still concentrating on Europe or Americas. And of course, you know that gifting in Asia is very important. And if you offer a gift to somebody that keeps all its beauty from the first day, even after many years, it's a very strong emotional message. So this was definitely, I would say, the major reason why this product became extremely popular and still is today in many markets a very big top seller for RADO. And maybe just to tell you a very nice little anecdote about India, where the product also became very popular. You know, by this time, there was actually no Swiss watch brand present in India because of the very high import duties.
Right.
What RADO did by this time then was they built up in India a very strong customer service network. And the Indians knew when they were traveling abroad to buy watches, they can buy RADO watches, and when they bring them back to India, they can get service for these watches. And
Incredible.
that is the reason why RADO became the #1 brand, and it still is the case today in India. But it also helped this very strong and early presence of a customer service network helped a lot the RADO brand to develop throughout Asia. And then, of course, in combination with this very unique material, it was really a big success from the beginning.
You know, what's amazing about it is in the context of the era, we're talking about the 60s here, you know, there's the spirit of innovation in RADO, which creates hard metal. And hard metal is actually using tungsten carbide, if I'm not mistaken, which is, again, yeah, one of the hardest metals on earth. I think they traditionally use it in like bits for drills and so on. And the fact that you're able to use this and then refine it and polish it in a way that's very beautiful, it's incredibly innovative, you know? I mean, it's a cool tradition to have.
Exactly, yes. It's a very, very a nice material because it's scratch resistant. I would say the only problem is because what RADO then tried, you know, RADO then saw the strengths of using materials also, and using material as a key differentiating factor for the brand. So they took the decision to make everything with a very unique material or phase the products out. Of course, ceramic was then the more superior material versus hard metal, because when you wanted to do watches also with the full case and the bracelet in hard metal, it would have been too heavy. So
Sure.
ceramic was superior because it was super light. It was also scratch resistant. The temperature of the material adapts to the temperature of the skin. The problem with ceramic then was just by the technologies that we had in the 80s and 90s, that we were using this centerpiece of steel, building the skin around it, making the machining in straight line, but we were only able to produce. This is then why RADO, let's say the face of RADO, became very much identified with these products that all our loyal customers, they love and they still continue to buy these black, shiny and square watches. But we had also 10 years ago to develop something different for a younger clientele, because you know that younger people hardly buy exactly the same watches that their parents or grandparents bought. So we needed to develop something for them to attract them. And the two technologies that helped us a lot was On one side, this monoblock construction to really make any geometry and also ultra thin watches. And the second one, to explore more and more with colors, ceramic colors that are very complicated to produce also. And those technologies helped us now to really develop a collection that is, again, extremely popular also among customers.
Amazing. So let's pop from there to one of my favorite watches for this year is the Golden Horse 1957. And if anyone of you guys has the opportunity to head down to your retailer to actually try these on, you kind of have to, because it's such a beautiful watch in terms of its shape, how it sort of conforms to the curvature of the wrist. It's just a really elegant watch, and it's beautifully finished as well, and available in some great colors. So Matthias, tell us a little bit about the Golden Horse 1957.
So, of course, for RADO, it's an iconic watch because it was actually the iconic watch of our very first collection in 1957. So this is why, of course, in the first step, we wanted to bring it out really in a replica version. We have 3 different dial colors for it. We have it with different bracelet versions, but we have it in the replica design that really RADO also was using in 1957. But of course, also the next step will be that we will come out with a contemporary version of it, a more, I would say, lifestyle product. But of course, this watch, because it's part of the very first collection of RADO, became immediately a hot seller for us worldwide, actually, because this vintage, or the popularity of vintage watches, is not something limited to a country. It's really something that is extremely popular worldwide. And they really became top sellers since the launch last year.
The color choices are really lovely as well. You've got the burgundy, the green, and the blue, but they each have this sort of almost fume kind of effect on the dial as well, which gives it this wonderful sense of complexity and patina.
Exactly, but it was exactly the same dial also that RADO was using in 1957. So
wow,
it's
cool.
It's really a replica of the first collection watch that we launched.
And again, an incredible price for these watches as well. I believe they're under 2,000 Swiss francs, if I'm not mistaken. Is it 1,800 or 1,600?
Exactly. Yes, it's 1,800. But I agree that in particular, when you look at the details and the technology, the complex technology, also of the construction, same also here at Boxcars, like in the past, and of course the original red anchor with the red date. That we were using. You know, actually, the story behind the anchor, that's also very interesting.
Please tell us.
Actually, introduced the anchor for several reasons. The first reason was to show that it's an automatic watch, so it represents somehow this the rotor. But most important was it was also a protection against counterfeit watches, faked watches, because this anchor was so complicated to be produced that all these fake manufacturers were not able to produce it. And the third point that's very interesting is the objective behind this, the use of this anchor was the anchor was fixed on a jewel. And the idea was once the anchor stops to rotate on the jewel, it gives you the indication it's time to get the watch serviced.
That's great.
That was actually, it then did not exactly work the way I think we wanted. So today we rather say, okay, you should get a mechanical watch served after 5 to 7 years. It's probably more accurate. But the original idea was exactly this. This is why it's actually, it was fixed on a jewel at the very origin.
You know, I absolutely love this watch, and again, it's just so great on the wrist. You know, it's a phenomenal watch at a great value. So, Matthias, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much, Ray, and stay safe and healthy, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Take care, my brother.
Thank you. Bye.